It's difficult.
È nata nel 1978, è un'illustratrice norvegese, autrice di libri per bambini, si è laureata in comunicazione visuale e è autrice di un personaggio molto famoso in italiano, Kubbe, non so se si chiama, non mi sembra che si chiami così anche in norvegese, ha fatto un libro Kubbe al museo. Åshlid è stata qui recentemente a visitare sia Remida sia Santa Croce, è stata invitata da Laura e da Eloisa, ha tenuto degli atelier nelle scuole, dei laboratori, ha lavorato insieme ai bambini e si è fatta un'idea anche della bacheca e ha elaborato dal punto di vista della sua professione questa nostra realtà, quindi adesso la ascoltiamo e la guardiamo con molto entusiasmo. Prego.
I was asked to come to Remida because of my book Kubbe. It has in this book it tells about Kubbe collecting stuff and putting it into a system. And yeah, so this thing here is for me to come to Remida and I think just find out what kind of place it is and what values it has. And I stayed in this wonderful place that was renovated, and it sort of gave me in the neighborhood of Santa Croce, and it really gave me this feeling of old materials being polished and used again, and it was really good just to stay in this place. And here I visited, yeah, here, and so it just gave me the sense of quality of materials in a way. It got very many layers in the apartment, so this was the beginning of getting a sense of what is already there in Santa Croce, because this house is in Santa Croce. And so I just get a feeling of all the materials and things and all the trees and bushes that was already there. It was really good, actually. Okay, yeah. And then I visited Remida, and what struck me the most is like I did understand why they asked me, because this was like my character Kubbe's dream place, because it's like rooms and rooms with all of different kind of things, and it's inside boxes or it's stacked up, and it was just like a dream world to get into this place. And especially for me, like everyone has different kind of obsessions or things that they really like. And for me, it's like paper and the texture in paper. And especially when in Remida, you get all the stacks of papers and it sort of looks like a mini city. And so, yeah, I really fell in love with this, and I brought a lot of paper back home with me. Yeah. And then I went into the room where you can borrow books or you can exchange the books. And so I always like this to go into these kind of old bookstores and see if I can find like a treasure. Just it could be the images there, and especially if it's from another time, if it's from the 50s or the 60s, like the quality of the picture will be very different, and it's exciting, and it's good for imagination. So I searched for to find some interesting books, and I found this Art Friuli book. I'm not sure how you pronounce it, but yeah, it's this region I learned. And next slide. Yeah, so these are like these lamps. They have a certain nostalgic feeling for me, and as you can see, like in the background, on top of the left side you can see the lamp I have at home. This I got from my grandparents. Like there was a lot of lamps they had in the house, and I got it from them. And my parents were like, "Do you really want this?" And I'm like, "Yes," because I feel like these lamps are really, they give an atmosphere to the room. And you can see I have sort of the same thing in the background here. These and also the thing is, like, the way I like to create stuff is to find already existing stuff. Like if I find different shapes I find really interesting, you know, then I will sort of copy it in a way, or I try to catch the shape of it on paper. And so I found out that these lamps and baskets, they really look like small creatures. And I thought, because it was fun, like I talked with Eloisa to make to work around the concept of family we talked about at a certain time. And so I thought it was fun, like this is a family of Friuli. I still cannot write it the right way, but yeah. Yeah, and so it was fun. Like you can see one of the images there I found really interesting. When I tried to copy it, I gave it eyes, and then I was in the kindergarten. I think some of the children said that Lampadari could be like a good name. And it's I just play around with shapes and names that are already existing, and I like this way of, so I felt like when I play around with these things, it's almost like recycling something already existing, and I felt that sort of connected with the project here. And so yeah, it's also like these baskets, it's just like a childhood nostalgia I get, and it is funny when you put eyes on it. It becomes something different. Yeah, you can go to next slide. Yeah, I'm really happy about these the basket characters I got. I think these have really, yeah. It's like, so this is I just like to start to draw, and I find something new, and I play around it. And some of them, it will be like they just look decorative, and someone I will actually start to feel like they have a history. It depends. And so it's also funny. I was thinking about, like, if they make a family portrait, there will always be conflicts in a family, and maybe they have fights, and maybe they get friendly again and stuff like that. And it's kind of silly, but it's a fun way to create something, to work around and learn about shapes, and sort of giving them values in a playful way like this, without any plans, just following what you see. Yeah, and also these are the some characters I found at the Remida place, and I just looked at them. It's so funny because they have such silly eyes in a way, and some of them look nervous, some of them looks really cold and bossy. And so I played around the concept of the guy to the left being the boss, and the other one, it would be very nervous of him or her. So it's just stuff like that. And yeah, it's a good way of start stories telling to do this. And if you talk with children, they are totally, you don't have to explain much. They totally get this concept of just putting images into it. And also my character Cube is also like a wooden log, right? So it's like personifying objects. It's a fun way of creating stuff. Yeah, and so I visited the Magalucci Center, and these are the elements that really like I found really visually striking. it's just and yeah, sometimes I work in a very small space, like I make really small illustration, and it's nice to be reminded to play around with all these colors and lights and stuff like that. Like it's I really enjoyed it. Like at that time I was working with musicians in this musician play project, and I showed them these pictures and they were like, wow, like, yeah, these are fantastic things you can play around with. Oh yeah, and then I visited Neruda, and I just totally fell in love with I don't know, it is like a documentation room, but it's also like a museum, and it's also like just a collection of all the fantastic things you can ever imagine. Like it's just like it's got all these objects with the textures and the colors, and it was just like I just really, it was like a dream world for me to look at. And also if you see the children's illustration of the objects, it's just, it's mind-blowing because it's got a lot of texture to it. Yeah, so you can go to the next slide. Yeah, so these are just like a documentation of a documentation room. It's very meta in a way. Yeah. Yeah, this was also really beautiful, like a reminder of just to find images you already like and try to capture the colors. And so I was thinking, like, find paintings or photo you like and try to make your own painted collection of it. Is like, it's a fantastic thing to do, because you can really never copy it the way it is. It will turn into something new. And so it's a wonderful way to just try to find new colors and new shapes in a way. It's, yeah. So this was, and also I was, it was just so many wooden pieces underneath this board. It's kind of fantastic. So it's like a Cube family down there. Yeah. So these are, it was like, this was like a big room of things, but you can find smaller rooms in this big rooms. And this is a concept I really like, when there are just a lot of small rooms in a room. So it's like rooms in rooms and rooms and rooms and rooms. So it's this wonderful way to dive into your imagination in a way. So this is the images or the illustration made by students at the let's see. So this is a Magalucci school, I think, and I had a conversation with the students there, and they had so many questions. It was really nice, and I talked about the way I'm working, and it was good. And also, like, afterwards the teacher would show us portraits they had done by the students by each other, and it was done. It was really nice that how they captured the positions and expressions of the students. And also it was fun with the with how one of the students made an illustration of how Italians talk with their hands. And so this is very it struck a nerve in me. I really loved these illustrations. Yeah, so this is the first workshop we had at I've written down where it was. Oh yeah, and it was there was a lot of things going on in this workshop, and I just realized later on that I picked up a lot of stuff here because the whole table was filled with my sketchbooks and all kind of things that they used in the workshop, all kind of materials. And we had the concept of the small world thing, and making a family of some sort, like they would pick up leaves outside and sort of make a composition and things. And things were going so fast, and the children were working in different tempo. So it was, and I just took a lot of picture, and I didn't realized until afterwards what's been going on, and I found a lot of really nice stuff later on. But what the rugby ball was really striking to me. It was fun because one of the boys would make a character of the basketball thing, and then I was like, I had the Free Uli book with me, and so I was like, I would try to make a character of one of the lamps. So this is sort of, the lamp was a little bit inspired by the rugby ball, so that was the beginning of that. There's a lot of things. Like, I don't know how these workshops affects me until later on. Like, I will be really inspired by it, in different kind of ways, but I never really understand what it is until later on. Okay. It was, and also, like, I didn't see the blue background and the leaf guy there. It was just like almost like a samurai in a way. It was funny. Okay. We had at Remida because I sent the first PDFs I sent to Eloisa about my work and my collections at home. I sent so many pictures to her that when she went through it, she felt like it looked like a stop motion. And so she said it would be fun to make like a stop motion of with the concept family at Remida. And so also it took me a long time to realize what was going. It's really strange because I feel like I'm very present at what I do, but at the same time I'm not. So I'm just looking at people, and when they start to create, and it's really interesting. And so for me, it was interesting to see how all the movements were during the workshop, like how people collaborated together and the interaction and the way they talked with each other. I thought it was really nice. It's almost like a dance in a way. Yeah. So this is like a loop thing here, and you can go to next slide. Yeah. And like this group where they were sitting really still, and they discussed a lot. Like they planned, and they were really organized. So you can see it's a very, very tidy. And so and for me it was nice to see how they lined up everything. Yeah, all the groups, it was interesting how they lined up the things. Next slide. Yes. So this is a group where they talked a lot. It felt like they had a lot of heated discussions, and but it was just it was in such contrast to the next table that was sitting still, but it was so much fun, and it was just like just trying out a lot of stuff and just putting in and all kind of, and it was really, really nice to see. Like, so I really like when I have workshop to see the dynamic in the different groups and see how they work together, like and all the stop motion films in the end was really, really nice. I don't know if you can see it somewhere, but yeah. Right. So this is like when I was there, like I was really struck by like the trees. When I like the trees in Italy, they're really, really fashionable. Like there's almost like a Vogue or haute couture magazines who have all these kind of they're just very elegant, the trees. And also there's a lot of nice detail. And as I was walking in Santa Croce from the train station and to where I live, like this is really, really fine details. And you can go next slide. So you see here, it's like you have all the striped, the fences, and you have all these branches, and it's really, really nice the way colors work together, and with all these different kind of trees. It's like the whole area has a lot of texture in it, which is really exciting for the eyes to see. Okay. Yeah, and I think this tree should get an award because it's like the most fantastic tree. And this is the first thing you see when you come from the train station. So it's just magnificent, and it got like a big headpiece, and the arms are just stretching out really, really far. And so it's magnificent. And also it's so in the building behind it is also really, really nice, the yellow building. So it's so elegant, and you can see the the new Remida place right behind there, I think. Yep. And it's still, it continues. It's just the very elegant trees. Yeah. And here, like you got it's almost looked like jewelry, like a brushes that you put on for a party. It's just so many nice elements, so much texture. Okay, you can go to, yeah. And also this is just as nature is just, I just want to sort of put things and stick it on my clothing, like it's so nice, or in the hair, like a hairpiece, something like that. And the colors so wonderful with the red and the yellows and the greens. Is just there's so many nice quality to the neighborhood. It's a really exciting place to walk in and to find all these nice details. Okay, and like the street I lived in, I was like, it's just very, very fashionable. Like you have all these entrances where you have all the leaves coming down. It's just it's really, really cool. And so and you have all these entrances to the like to the orange house, and you have all these beautiful, very, very different trees and different heights, and it's just it's a very exciting place to make stories in, and you don't have to like make a story in this place, but something happens with your brain when you look at all these really decorative places. Okay. And so here I tried to put the characters in. I feel like they really, really fit into these surroundings. So this is not something I took into consideration, but sometimes when you create and you start to put things together, you're like, oh, okay, they fit each other in a way. And I think that's a lot of the visual process, is just making a lot of stuff and somehow they fit into each other. Okay, next slide. And this is the jewelries again, and I felt like this one, the plant to the left is trying to stretch out. It's like saying hi, like ciao. It's funny. It's I feel like sometimes elements just, or objects, they stretch out and they say hello to you, and then that's fun. And it's always fun to capture those things on camera. And also I really like this box, the announcement box. I'm not sure, I thought it was like for the where you put the letters in, but it's for suggestions thing you can put in there, and I like the shape of it. Next slide. Yes, so again, I feel like the trees are really elegant. Some of them can be a little bit scary, but also elegant. And I like the dramatic trees. I just call them like very theatrical or dramatical trees. And yeah. So this is a last one, and this is my suggestion for a future workshop, and it's like, and this is also something I found at Remida. It's like this old folder thing for a computer. Like I remember this from older days, and where you printed stuff on these things, and I like the shape of it, and it got two-sided, and I was thinking like perhaps you could make like a biography about yourself and talk about something that you're interested in on one side, like the story of why you're interested in something, and then you can turn over the folder, and then there you can have like a collection of the things you are interested in. And so this is yeah, and so that would be like a fun thing to try out if you're going to have a workshop. And I think it's an interesting way to find out, to learn about storytelling. And it's yeah, so that was the last thing I had in this presentation.
Bene, e ti ringraziamo anche per averci visto con gli occhi che noi non abbiamo, perché ci hai fatto vedere delle cose che vediamo tutti i giorni ma non avevamo ancora visto. E ti chiediamo di rimanere con noi e ascoltare la prossima relatrice, per poi magari avere domande dal pubblico, insomma, per quello che tu ci hai detto. Magari sulla tua idea degli small words, che mi pare un'idea molto interessante anche come metafora della città.